go. Ladies and gentlemen,
Can you hear us?
Tony Marshall and Highwood Crossing have had an incredible relation and a long, long relationship with CNF. So Tony's going to be here to chat all about his farm and things that have happened. And he's gone through a ton of stuff. And he'll tell you all about it. So Tony Marshall from Highwood Crossing, us.
Thanks, Ron. Great to be here again. I've, as Ron indicated, got a long and glorious relationship with Community Natural Foods. I've been coming here doing these presentations for almost 20 years. I think when we first started doing them, Frank or somebody would hold a candle up and I would do, shadow puppets on the wall. It was before PowerPoint, certainly, and laptops. So how much time do we have this morning, Ron?
We have now 57 minutes.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do, I've got a little video just to play for you to give you an idea of what we do about our farm, Highwood Crossing Farm, and our processing business, Highwood Crossing Foods. So just play that, and then I've got some photographs of our farm and our products and production facility as well, just to give you a little backstory there. Probably, that'll take maybe 15 minutes, and then certainly I think the most important dialogue we'll have this morning will be, any questions that you have, and I'm certainly happy to answer anything. Patrick has assured me that he will heckle this morning, but he won't throw anything. So I think we'll be fine. So I'll start this video, and we can go from there. This was done by TELUS TV a couple of years ago, and I think they ran it on just on a loop on one of their cable channels. So it was. It's a little bit corny, but that's kind of the nature of the.
Hi, I'm Tony.
Hi, I'm Penny. Welcome to Highwood Crossing Farm.
My great-grandfather homesteaded this land in 1899, and it was then taken over by my grandfather and my parents. I'm fourth generation on this land, and our kids are fifth generation. So we have deep roots in this area. The Highwood River is very important for us here at Highwood Crossing. This is where we derived our name, Highwood Crossing, from. This portion of the river was where early travelers used to ford the river, across the river, on my great-grandfather's land, and then on to wherever they were going, whether it be Okotoks or High River or even on to Calgary. We grow many of the same crops that you would find on farms anywhere in the prairies: oats, wheat, rye, and we take those and add value to them and make the food products that you can buy under the Highwood Crossing label. And when we first switched over to organic production, we were growing our crops organically and just selling them in bulk as a commodity. And it just really made sense for us to start capturing the value here, rather than selling it to someone else and letting them do it. This is our High River location with the Highwood Crossing Foods processing facility. This is basically all of our production happens here. We do our baking here, we do all of our packaging and distribution out of this location. Today we're baking granola. Granola is our best-selling item. We bake it fresh every week, and our baking quantities are all based on the orders that we receive for the week. Usually a few thousand kilos a week.
We wanted to grow crops without herbicides or fertilizer.
And it was also hearkening back to the time when my great-grandfather and grandfather farmed here, and they were organic by default, I guess. There were no chemicals or pesticides at that time, so for us it was almost a pilgrimage back, honoring them, honoring our forefathers to the way that this farm was originally intended to be farmed.
Okay. I was telling Ron that I'm a late adopter of the Windows technology. I'm kind of a Mac guy, so please bear with me here. Hopefully this will translate. So how do I get this up to full screen, Ron? Is
Just
there
click on the picture that's on the left-hand side.
view?
Slideshow, Tony,
Okay.
Right there.
and it's a start from the beginning of farm.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Great. So we've been working with Ron. Good morning. Come on in. And your marketing team to come up with this takeover ad. So it's the first time we've ever done anything like this with community or any of our customers. So it's kind of exciting for us. As I said at the start, we have a long history with community. So when Ron offered us this opportunity, we were very excited to take advantage of it. My great-grandfather, W.B. Thorne, homesteaded the land that we're on today. It's the same farm that he farmed. He was in the horse and cattle and grain business. He was the first person to import Percheron horses from France, and he and George Lane, who was one of the big four with the Calgary Stampede, traveled over to France and imported the first Percheron horses into Canada. So this is W.B. Thorne, my great-grandfather, and then my grandfather. And he's standing on an old binder machine, so it was sort of an early precursor to today's modern combine. And he farmed this land as well after my great-grandfather. And then of course today this is what the farm looks like. In the video I mentioned that in the early days they farmed organically, but it was organic by default. Of course there were no chemicals, so technically they were organic, but now today we are organic by choice. So we don't use any chemicals, any synthetic fertilizers. We don't grow any GMO crops or do anything with regard to genetically modified. I'm sure you know this, but by being organic, you're by automatically a non-GMO. So this is kind of an interesting photograph. In the foreground is flax, and in the field next to it is canola, non-GMO canola. It's unique. You see a lot of canola grown in Western Canada and in Alberta certainly, but not a lot of flax necessarily in this part of the world. So this just happened to be 1 year where our crop rotations were such that we were growing flax and canola together side by side. So it kind of gives that sharp contrast between the two different crops. I don't know if you've ever seen flax growing, but it's a very mystical kind of ethereal crop. The flax flowers are very delicate and a beautiful purple lavender color, and they fall off every night. So the seed pods will blossom in the morning and during the day, and at night the flowers will fall off, and then the next day you'll get some new blossoming happening. So it's kind of a neat, very delicate, fragile crop. So this year I don't have a photograph of it, but we've for the first time grown hemp. So we have 70 acres of hemp growing, and we don't really know what we're doing with it, but it's we got a license and it's legal and everything, but we'll see how it comes off. All of our crops and all of our products are certified organic. We're certified with ProCert, who I believe is also your certifying body here at CNF. And so everything that we do is certified under the Canadian organic regime, and we do have reciprocity with the National Organic Program out of the United States. So as was mentioned in the little video, for a number of years after we switched over to organic farming techniques, we were just growing our crops and then selling them to other people to process. In 1996, we decided to start capturing the value of that processing on the farm. So we built this press house. I traveled over to Germany and bought a little oil press, and we started manufacturing oil. And here's a picture of the first press and our first two products that we were selling, the canola and the flax oil. So that was our first foray into value-added processing, and we thought that this was going to be just the cat's meow. It was going to look after all of our distribution problems and generate some good cash flow from the farm.
You should expand on the size of that building compared to this room.
Okay. The question Ron asked was, to explain the size of the building. This building is about, when we initially built it, it was about here, about half the size, so 1,100 square feet. And then we added on the front part and these two wings to take it up to about 1,600 square feet. So it's not that large. And for over, I think, 12 years, we operated out of there, did all of our manufacturing and all of our distribution out of there. So we started pressing oil and going to the local farmers market out at Millerville, and it was great. It was a great experience. The customers out there received us very well. We were the first people, certainly in Western Canada, that were farm-based and pressing oil. There were other companies who were pressing oil, but we were the first ones that were kind of vertically integrated. We were growing the crops, pressing the oil on our farm, and then selling it at the farmers market. And so for the first few weeks, sales were great. People came and bought the oil, and then kind of after that, it petered off. And so people would come by and they'd wave and say hi, and they'd say, "Yeah, I love the oil. Still got lots left. I don't need any more." So we, after about 3 weeks, everyone had bought oil, and we were sort of, waiting. I think. So I went home after one market, and I said to Penny, we need some more products. I said, this oil, people love it, but they just don't need to buy it every week like they do a loaf of bread. And so Penny is a professional home economist by training and has a nutrition background. So she got to work and came up with some new products for me to sell at the market. At the same time, I realized that the farmers market vehicle probably wasn't going to be big enough to generate enough money to allow us to put our kids through university and do the things that we wanted to do. So at that point, I decided that we needed to start looking for retail partners, and that was when I approached Community Natural Foods, and that was coming up on 20 years ago. And so this was sort of our first family of products. We had the oils, of course, and Penny came up with this granola, flaxseed sunflower granola, which continues to be our best seller today. The flaxseed, of course, was easy because we had flaxseed on hand. We grew flaxseed, so we were using it to press into oil. So we started packaging it. We came up with a Power Grains hot cereal, which again we continue to sell today and is one of our best sellers. It's a whole grain, multi-grain, wheat-free, hot breakfast cereal, and our flaxseed muffin and pancake mix. Again, multi-purpose mix, baking mix. You can use it for pancakes, waffles, a number of different products. So that's what we started selling at the market, and the first products that were listed here at Community Natural Foods. Some familiar face that many of you will know. And it's been fun over the years just to see the different styles of packaging, how it's all evolved. One of the things that we're very mindful of is the environment and taking care with the way that we farm, and so we subscribe to this Environmental Farm Plan program, and all of our farming practices are based on that. This is just a photograph of a younger Tony out in a field of rye. This was a poster that I took a picture of, just sort of resonates with our philosophy as far as farming. Live like you'll die tomorrow, farm like you'll live forever. Of course, just the whole idea of soil building and not mining the soil, you know, trying to leave the land in better shape than we find it, and doing our farming practices based on that. So everything that we do, we try and think about not tomorrow or just next month or next year, but you know, we look long term. We like to think generationally. So when we you know, pass this land on to our kids, that hopefully it'll be in better shape than when we found it. It's much easier said than done. We're a certified organic facility, and we have regular inspections. We're also certified by the CFIA, and if any of you have had any dealings with the CFIA, you know that they operate in weird and wonderful ways. I'm just very glad that they're not allowed to carry sidearms, because I'm sure I would have been dead many times over. So we have visitations from the CFIA. We're inspected by the local health authority, and from time to time we have other inspectors stop by, and they aren't nearly as onerous or mean as the CFIA inspectors. In 2012, we decided to move our processing facility off the farm and into High River. This was for a number of reasons. We basically had outgrown our facility there at the farm, and so we bought this building in High River and renovated it and moved our production facility there. We built this little canopy over the entranceway. It's a green roof. You can't really see it in full production there, but it's a green roof, and we have a number of different living plants growing there, and it's a nice cool area. We'll sit out there and have a coffee in the morning or in the heat of the sun. Our products have grown. Our product line has grown over the years. We call this the big three: the rolled oats, of course, the muffin and pancake mix, and the flaxseed granola, all of which are products that you carry here. Our oils, of course, have remained the same. We press the oils fresh each week. That's why we're so. It's not quite as critical now that we're going through the warehouse, but in the older days when we were ordering direct from the stores, or the stores were ordering direct from us, we would, you know, we were very adamant that you had to have your order in, you know, first thing Monday morning, and that allows us to actually press the oil fresh that week, bottle it, and get it out to you. So we say it's, you know, the oil is in the seed Monday morning, and it's on the shelf by Thursday. So We like to think that it's the freshest oil out there. Again, our canola is non-GMO, which is very unique in the whole canola oil situation. As you know, 80 to 90% of the canola grown and made today in Canada or North America, for that matter, is genetically modified. Ours is non-GMO. You saw our first press that we imported from Germany. This press has 4 times the capacity. It's a Turkish press, and each one of those heads produces oil. We have one of the co-products or byproducts of the oil pressing is press meal, and so the press meal comes out of these heads, falls into this hopper, and then is augured up into a big bag. And we have no waste at Highwood Crossing. So all of our byproducts and co-products are used in completely. So we every week we have a very small little bag of garbage that goes out of our facility. So again, we're mindful of that. So what do we do with the press meal? Vital Greens, I think, is a brand that you know, a dairy down at Pitcher Butte. So they use our press meal as a ration for their dairy cattle, and they feed that to their cattle. And Joe Mans from Vital Greens tells me that if they should run out of the press meal, that their milk production will drop as much as 25% the very next day. So it's the dairy cattle are super, efficient milk-making machines, and they take that protein. This press meal is very high in protein, so they take that meal, and they are able to increase their milk production with it. He also says they stop at the farm or at our facility in High River and pick the meal up in big bulk bags, and apparently when they come back to Vital Greens Farm, the cattle somehow know when there is press meal on the truck, and if there is press meal on the truck, they will run down the fence line following the truck. This is what he tells me, so I'm just sharing that with you. We also sell the press meal to Daryl and Corrine Winters out at Winters Turkey Farm, and I believe you also carry their product, and they use also as a supplement in their turkey ration. So how oils are made, it's kind of interesting. There's sort of a divide here. This is how commercially refined oils are made. You can see there's a number of different steps here. Our oils, on the other hand, are very simply made. We start off with our certified organic, clean, non-GMO seed. We press it in the press that you saw. We don't basically do anything else to it besides that. There's no filtration, there's no centrifuge, there's no diatomaceous earth, there's no hexane solvent. All the other things that you would find in commercially or highly refined oils, we don't do. It's gravity. The oil, the sedimentation is allowed to filter out just naturally, and at the end of the day, we let it sit for maybe 24 hours, and then we bottle it into the glass bottles. Glass being, of course, non-reactive, and we ship it out to you that same week. So that chart is available on our website if it's something that you want to look at. But in terms of concerns, the hexane solvent is one. Caustic soda is another one that is used in conventional oil production, highly refined oils, and those are the types of things that, of course, I think, as people who are concerned about their health, those are the things that we're most concerned about with using commercially highly refined oils. The 3 most harmful things to fresh cold pressed oils are, of course, heat. Excellent. Heat, light, and oxidization. So we take great pains. We press our oil at 40 degrees or less, and that is the technical sort of threshold for cold pressed oils. So we're always under 40 degrees. We bottle the oils in the glass dark brown or dark green bottles, so they're protected from the ultraviolet light. And of course, our whole system is designed to press the oil to the exclusion of oxygen. So if you want to investigate that further, just check it out on our website. Same product that we started with. The packaging has changed over the years. This is just kind of a style shot of granola. As you saw in that video, we hand make it. It's just every week fresh, and it's very much an artisan product, handmade and packaged. So we have the different granola styles. Steel cut oats, another best-selling product that you certainly carry. Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to get your oats certified gluten-free now that Canada allows them to?
So yeah, I know the regulations have just recently changed, and it's something that I'm still a little confused about, because oats inherently contain gliadin, I know, so it is a gluten protein component. So I'm just still a little unclear in my own mind how that can be permitted, but the regulation has changed, so it obviously has. I'm not sure that we would be able to, because although our oats are milled in an oat-only facility, they are grown on fields that grow other products. So I think if we were to have them tested, the oats tested, that there wouldn't be any gluten contamination there. But there's the potential for gluten contamination because they are grown on fields that grow wheat and rye and barley. So it's something that I have to look into a little further. I'm a great gluten fan. I love the gluten, and I think it's got a hard rap. So I'm not necessarily rushing out there, but I know there are many people who do have legitimate sensitivities and celiac conditions. So I appreciate that, and I try to be sympathetic to that. I know we have many people with celiac disease who are able to enjoy our oats without any problem. So the whole allergen thing is just, I feel, spinning out of control. We have to, just as a manufacturer, we have to now label for mustard, and there's just so many different things that we have to be aware of, and it certainly creates a lot more work and a lot more expense. We have one person now who's pretty much dedicated just to regulation and tracing and lot numbers and compliance. So from 10 years ago, till today, that has just gone through the roof, and we see that situation as just becoming more and more onerous. So it's people often ask about the cost of organics, and I think a lot of it is in the compliance and the traceability and the things. It always is bizarre that it costs us thousands and thousands of dollars a year not to spray chemicals, whereas I look at our neighbors and friends who are farming using the toxic rescue method of agriculture, and they're able to spray